pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's pretty much so doing now.
I would ask the board if we could add one item to the agenda this evening. I would like to create a new number 18, which is an invoice from ProShred for $525. Change the public comment to number 19 and adjournment to number 20.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Move on to public comment. Oh, okay.
Open position.
Communications. Jim?
Yes, sir. I have two things today. I submitted my final report of tax collections to the county on the 4th of June. So I am done collecting town and county taxes. Just some interesting, because I like stat things. The total warrant that was issued that includes the town and the county, we collected 97% of that warrant, which I thought was pretty good. Now, of that, obviously the town gets 100%. And if people don't realize that the town gets paid first, we take our money off the top, the county makes us whole, which is very nice. That does not happen in every county. And then the county got 93% of their warrant. So there was some percent which of their warrant, which totals $370,000. And that's about normal year. The only other interesting figure really with that internet payments this year, and they did not forgive any additional fees. You paid the 3%. $235,000 were paid on the internet this year. So I think that's a little higher than normal. So that was interesting. Not really. And we have a primary election coming up next Tuesday. Democrat and Working Families Party. The county has, unlike past years where we have consolidated locations on primaries, all three locations are open this year. So the normal spots, there will be fewer election inspectors in each location, but all three locations. So anybody who's a Democrat or a Working Family Party registered member can vote in their primaries at their normal locations.
Because normally they have inspectors, I believe it's like half are Republican and half are Democrat. Because there's no Republican to the.
They still have both. They still have both. Yeah. Still a multi-party inspectors.
Kind of.
The countywide one is a judgeship. And I'd have to look to see if that is a Working Family Party one as well. But that's the main countywide one is a judge. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Move on to town attorney
I have nothing.
and Sydney, or I'm sorry, Karen.
I have nothing except to say that I thought it was successful on Saturday.
Very nice.
Recycling event.
So we had well over 50.
Usually.
You say?
Oh, at least. It was steady all.
I wish we had counted.
Yeah.
It was steady all morning long.
And just even if they weren't there, just take it.
I didn't know if you forgot again.
And I had two individuals say, oh, we should just play more and like that once a year.
Yeah, and I would suggest that we consider that again
Sure.
next year. I think that it's just a nice service to our community.
Yeah, because we can get on the calendar for something. We get the county like answers to.
I would like that.
Yeah, because they only had, when I contacted them back in
Yeah.
March, I think it was, they had only scheduled for the entire county they were on. So.
Do you still have that contact? Might give it, you have to get it for next year. Either way,
Thank you.
Cindy, anything else?
Just a couple of things, the recycling event, I was going to comment on, and then the library is changing, or as of July 12th, which is Saturday, they were no longer open on Saturdays, and that will go through September 18th.
June.
Did I say July? I meant June, yes.
No.
Getting ahead of myself. I don't want to lose weight summer. And the summer reading program will start June 23rd and go through August 13th. And the board of trustees has begun.
I'm sorry.
Citizens Advisory Committee, the committee has defined the projects, has defined the concepts that we would like to see on each potential site that we would be presenting to the board. And we will be ready, we'll have the meantime, July 13th, so we will finalize everything. And formalize everything and then be ready to report to the town board on
Thank you.
Just kind of to add on that, this is a lot of, but Cindy and I both talked to John about possibly streamlining some of the things from the families, just because we don't want this to be a cumbersome process for anyone involved. So anyway, John's said we were talking to him about that. The only other thing is planning board meeting on Wednesday night. We will be reviewing the additional for 2 events for Hillary. Special move events. Again, they set it up originally so that they do one, consolidate any kind of issues and whatever, address it and move forward. Having been there, like a lot of people reported that I didn't really see any issues. I thought it went very well, and it was a great event, lots of community. So I anticipate special use for this line through. That's it.
Thank you. John?
Yeah, 2 things. Not still under, but John and I both met with the Ryan father-son team about Mended Green on the completion of all of the legal events, and that they were basically back slightly to square one in that the sewer agreement is approved and 54 homes were approved. So that was really from 15 years ago. Whether they change and try to do something different, we'll find out. But it was very smooth. It was a good meeting, very solid, just open discussion about what they're thinking about. So that was nice. And then John and I are also meeting Thursday in a pretty pivotal meeting with both Labella, the splash pad contractor, and really the DEC people. But Labella has some feeling of that on the concept of putting this splash pad. So I think that's going to be a pretty important meeting on the possibility of securing that type of activity.
Thank you. Just jump over the question regarding Mended Green. The Environmental Conservation Board, Peter Gross is on it. He's actually followed it pretty closely, and he asked me a question. And obviously, if they plan on going forward with the 54 homes, then the sewer agreement stays in place. But he asked me, is it advantageous, or is there any reason why that sewer agreement should exist if it's not going to be acted upon? I mean, is there anything we gotta do? Is it revert over here?
The short answer is the court held that that agreement is still in effect. So that's the answer.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about pulling the rug out from anyone if they decide to take advantage of the sewer agreement. But if they decide not to, does it matter that there is this agreement out there?
Well, then the only way to cancel the agreement would be have Pittsford and Mendon would have to do it together.
Okay.
And that might be not a bad option. If they're not gonna, why leave it hanging out there?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it would just be a matter of both town boards agreeing to cancel the agreement.
Okay. He asked the question, I obviously didn't have the answer, so now I do.
But if they didn't do anything, 10 years from now, they go, okay, now we're gonna run sewers until 54 homes, they can do it. If
with this plan.
we didn't do,
Yes,
if
yes,
if we, mean this board, the Pittsburgh board didn't do it.
correct.
Gotcha. Great, thank you. I've got a couple items, as most of you have seen in the Hamlet, we've got our banners, military banners, as well as our welcome to the Hamlet, flowers with the new, self-watering baskets, which I've talked to Jerry Fox from the Highway Department. He says, you know, he's basically, instead of watering them, 6 out of 7 days, he's average watering about twice a week. So it's gonna save us money because, one, he's not coming in on Saturdays to do it, paying overtime. Also, because what he was doing last year is he was either come in on Saturday or Sunday, and skip a week. Plus, you know, instead of the time that it takes to water them every day, obviously he's only watering twice a week, which makes it a big difference.
Yeah.
And he says he's also using a lot less water.
I'm sure, yeah. And
So
by the way, Andy, they look great.
they do very nice. And of course, we have all the new flags out, replaced all this year, so.
Do you like the color banners?
What's that?
Do you like the color banners?
Sure.
And he was ready to move you down the street for about 6 hours one day.
Yeah. They stand out, I'll tell you
They
that.
do. They do.
Which I think is the whole idea. Kelly Parmalee and myself, the two ladies from the Library Board of Trustees met with civil service lady. She came out from Rochester to meet with us about the opening for the librarian. And it was a really good meeting, learned a lot about civil service. She, the lady who came out from civil service was very good, very knowledgeable, definitely filled in a lot of gaps with me. Just what I knew about civil service, what makes sense in my own mind, didn't agree. So I think it was very worthwhile. So they have a list of 20-some people who all scored 100, so they're all eligible to be hired. So their next process was to send a letter out to all of them expressing that if they had interest by a certain date, they need to reply, and then depending on reply and resumes in the interview process. The In Bloom program with Monroe County, we got off to a little bit of a rough start. The lady who'd been there for a long time retired. There's a new lady running it in the county. She missed a few deadlines, and I put an order in, as did the Menden Garden Club. At some point, just a couple of weeks ago, the Garden Club decided they weren't going to do the flowers out here in the flower bed in front of the community center. So she let me know that, which is fine, except that she forgot to tell me that she also called Monroe County and canceled her flower order. So my experience is that over the last 3 or 4 years, really hard. So in the future, we're just gonna order the flowers, we're gonna put them in, we're gonna bypass this situation with the garden club. And so we bought mulch, because the mulch was on their order, and on my order, I just ordered some flowers for the library, the youth center, and town hall, and all the flowers they ordered were supposed to be ordered. So we stretched out a few flowers, and
No,
got
it's
them.
nice.
Looks very nice.
Yeah.
Jerry did a nice job.
Very nice. I'll be on vacation June 18th through 26th. Deputy Supervisor Jack Kingery will be in town during that time period. I will be available via cell phone for the state. Kelly and I did 2 days of finance school in May. We did a webinar about the American Resource Recovery, whatever it's called. ARPA is the acronym for it, and that's the money that's supposed to be trickling down to the federal government through the state to us. Still getting information about what, where, how, what. Let's see, we've updated our bank signatures now that Mary Fletcher is retired. We've got Kelly, I think we got her out everything, and Mary off everything. Rec move-in day is gonna be next week. I've arranged to have Corey Gates meet the rec people at youth center to get all the equipment. First quarter sales tax, you should have a copy of that. We are up just a little bit, on a little over $1,000, which is not a bad thing. In fact, it's fairly steady. You also have information on real property assessment. As everyone knows, houses are going, and they're going fast, they're going high. When you start looking down where we are at, the state equalization rate versus our equalization rate compared to the other towns, I think we're in good shape. But it's, the market is so crazy right now. I know Rush just did a reassessment, and I think personally, I think this needs to settle down before we consider doing another reassessment. Let's see, we've had some requests about pickleball courts. The ones in Mendon Center, there's 3 courts, 2 of them are already lined for pickleball. So Andy's looking to get the 3rd one lined. We have told them that we're not going to line the ones on Summer Road for pickleball, because tennis people don't appreciate those lines. Whispering Meadows, the construction easement, that was on the gentleman who is building the house asked for relief from the conservation easement, and went to the planning board. You have a copy of the letter from the planning board. He declined to bring it before the 10th board. This town board would be the ones who would make the decision based on the recommendation from the planning board. Declined to pursue. Panic alarms were installed at the town hall. We had some, now we have more. That was PD locations, just in case of an emergency, hopefully we never need it. And John and I went with the village again about the ambulance. I think we're slowly getting to the financial part, which is the part that we've been talking about all along. And I think the understanding that what we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure we have good coverage for our residents down outside the village, but we're not willing to pay for good coverage in other locations. I think that's our main theme. I know John, if you agree with that. Absolutely. And we're slowly getting through, I guess. But we have no problem paying, but we don't want our residents, we're paying the lion's share of this. We don't want our residents not to have an ambulance. We want Pittsburgh or some other communities covering it while our ambulance is somewhere else. And that municipality is doing that. So that's our major concern. We'll continue to think about that. Let's see. That concludes my communications. Move on to supervisor's monthly report.
Motion to approve receipt of the supervisor's monthly report for May 2021.
Also that.
Any discussion? No worries. Go ahead.
As long as we pay, he's getting legal to convert to, it's been 31%. We'll get it for the year. 74%.
Yes, budgeting in a pandemic is not an easy thing, so we kind of tended to budget for, the worst expenditures and the highest expenditures and the worst, revenue. But we don't know, and hopefully we don't take a wrong turn in this pandemic in the future, but I think overall, right, we're in good shape. Any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next is town clerk's monthly report.
I'll make a motion to approve the town clerk's monthly report dated 5/1/21 to 5/31.
Second.
Any discussion? You can see 14 building permits in 1 month, so it's the time of year.
Is that above norm?
I don't know the answer to that. I think, I
No,
don't know the answer to that, but I would just say that it's, contributed to the time of year.
Based on what's going to do.
say it's fairly.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have minutes. May 10th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular town board meeting of May 10th, 2020.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next are budget transfers and adjustments.
I'll make a motion to approve the following budget adjustment. Staff 15 under 2000 was open. Beautification personnel.
Second.
This is just because we, the new watering pods, some of the new things that, we have this year, just increase the labor cost. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next are vouchers.
I'd like to make a motion to approve all claims on vouchers number 21-351 to 21-434, general abstract 21-06, amount of $320,000, $448. 448.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just to make a note, big chunk of it, majority chunk of that is the street sweeper, so. At least that's what I assumed it was.
Anything else? Is there a second?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
I'd also like to acknowledge library voucher number 21-061 to 21-078, and library abstract 21-006, the amount of $3,721.
Thank you. Next is number 11, standard workday for elected and appointed officials.
I'll make a motion to approve the submittal of records to the New York State Retirement System for all elected and appointed officials.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next is youth center donation.
Make a motion, the approval to accept donations of board games.
So they are in the process of cleaning out their house, selling it. And Lisa, who's baby's partner, is a lifetime resident. I think she grew up in Lima, if I'm not mistaken. And they just had some extra games. Just like donating. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next is number 13, which is proposed local law and section 16.1, planned unit development district, chapter 260. Public hearing. To set a public hearing. Establish a public hearing. everybody should have a local law that we be setting the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for 7 p.m. on July 12th. Soon thereafter, a said hearing can be convened at town amended Falls Post 66 Recreation Center for the purpose of considering all local law to provide for the repeal of section 6.1 PUD and U.S. Development District on the chapter 260.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
The discussion is that we want to find a PUD that is more appropriate to this style of town.
Yes.
That's all I
And
have.
I think you and Corey, and I was planning, I guess, Amy, if we form a little subcommittee, we'd like to, sure to. Brent. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, digital speed radar machines, the software supervisor prepare solicit request for proposals.
Let's read about
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
So, I was going down what I call Mountain Hill Road, which changes to County Road something over in Farmington. And, I saw these digital signs, that record your speed and then they tell you underneath, slow down, thank you, or whatever.
Because it says you're going.
Yeah.
I thought it was a video game.
Your speed. It says your speed and then it flashes your speed.
So I know the supervisor from Farmington, and I talked to him, and he told me that they had purchased a couple of them. And said that they're solar, so you can be moved very easily, or the one we have is not, requires the batteries have to be charged out. You got a tow at the pickup truck, change the tree, or a telephone pole, or more work. This thing, I was kind of impressed. And I thought, even if we don't have it, if people can come up with it this year, it's gonna get some pricing for the future. I think with some of the complaints we've had about speeding, which is, happens every spring. And I think it's nice to have the ability to put them up, move more around.
Is it our role?
No. It's really a law enforcement.
Yeah, that's our role.
I-
I don't have a problem with it really, but to a certain extent, it's not our role. I mean, we are not an enforcer of the speed limits on any of these routes, right? We're just not. I get why we would do it, and I'm actually for it, but we're not really. We can't write a ticket, right? But we can, they do slow people down.
They do, they do.
So I get it.
Remind you.
I just wanted sort of to verify that. And, that's what it is.
So it helps us, sorry, I just think it helps us be responsive. It was like, it was set up in Mendonshire, obviously there was a complaint in Mendonshire, the town of Mendon showed up and set up one of those things, so.
And the neighbors in Mendonshire, where I live, couldn't have been more appreciative of the fact
And I
that it
think
was there.
Pride Street was the same story. We gotta get Pride Street. Yeah, we had a lot of complaints from people about that. And I would think that would be just a responsive connection.
Yeah, it's very, I think, Cindy, you saw it firsthand, is that people, especially in, tracks, residential areas, where kids are outside playing, whether there's sidewalks or not, there's a certain element of, age drivers who tend to drive in and out of those types of, locations very fast. And while you're right, like rate tickets, anything like that, it does bring it to your attention. And we all know we share a car with Rush. We one our county shares that, which is good in the fact that we don't have a lot of problems. But by the same token, it also doesn't offer us a whole lot of our opportunities to, you know, set up, have radar set up in various places.
How much are
They seem to run, depending on whether you want to record, but I would say somewhere in the $3,000 to $5,000. But they told me in Farmington that they put out an RFP, they got several responses from various companies. So, but take a look at it.
I don't think it hurts to look at.
It's nice that, I'll be honest, I drove by that for a week. It's nice that town and mobile thing.
Yeah.
And I think we discussed that a year or two ago.
Yes, I wanted to put our logo on there, so.
Yeah,
Yes,
and it's great.
Credit for it, because a lot of people think it's sheriff's department. Usually what happens is that sheriff's department, if there's a recording device, they want to see the recording, like what the speeds were, what time of day, and then they'll come out and actually separate our tickets. But if they don't see, like an individual, used to call me frequently, once, rode in town, if they don't, if we set it up there, it didn't see the speed. So they're not gonna take those resources for a month from people going. Sure. 2, 3, 4 miles an hour over speed.
This was definitely not the case on Mendon Shire, they were going 60, 70. Oh, yeah. Repeated.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have the roof replacement projects, Community Center Highway Department. This is to authorize final payment. You should have a document in front of you that is an application certificate.
Make a motion to RFP personnel for roof work on the community center and highway department, 32,000 feet per job.
What's that good then?
So there was a change order of $1,000. The contractor found some rotted wood and the lean-to or salt barn, a 3-sided building, the former salt barn in Gordon Highway. What he said he was going to do and what he did and what he wanted to charge us were 2 different things. So Corey got involved and he negotiated that. You know, I had spoken with Corey. We basically negotiated down to $1,000, which the contractor agreed to. But there was no way I think we wanted like $1,800 or something like that. And Corey said, you know, we did, there were 2 or 3 things claimed to have done that Corey didn't feel that he did. You know, he said he used like 6 sheets of plywood, where he used like 4 sheets of plywood. So anyway, negotiated that down to $1,000. So it was cool. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Next is the community center. This is a lower level entrance discussion. So I'll just start it out with the fact that, you know, several years ago, where the Bilco doors are in the back of this building, we had talked about putting an entrance in there for the Legion so they could directly enter the building without going through the upstairs. Sometimes there's things going on back and forth for various reasons. So at one point I had talked to Pat Washington several years ago, and he had indicated that he would probably be interested in doing it. You know, we wouldn't have to go out to bid, we wouldn't have to worry about the wage, et cetera, et cetera. And you know, as he and Town Board of East talked, got out the measuring tape, and a year or so went by, Pat's shoulder started acting up. Pat decided that it wasn't in his best interest to do that. And so it's just kind of sat dormant for a while because I had a fallout afterwards, and basically saying, you know, for them to come up with bid specs, put it up to bid, you're probably looking at the better part of 10,000. By the time somebody bids on it, gets it, and you know, you could be looking at another 40 plus. You know, you're probably looking at about a $50,000 investment. We just put $75,000 in the roof. So I did go to the post meeting last Thursday and explained that to Legionnaires, talked to them about the building in general. And I think they really understand that we have a fiduciary responsibility in a lot of different areas. This is definitely one of them. But
meetings, Cindy had heard from one of the Legionnaires about the fact that we never did that project. Why didn't we? And what was the holdup? And so I felt like it was a good idea to go to the Legion meeting and talk to them. So, I didn't say it was gonna happen, I didn't say it wasn't gonna happen, but, it is something that we continue to pursue. But I think it's, something we gotta build into the future budget. Is Ken Washington still working for us? Yes, he's, for the type guy. So it's just that that was too much for him. Yeah, he felt like, they're talking about laying block. Yeah,
It seems like a pretty big project.
yeah, and then when Tom was down here, they said, you gotta have so much headroom and, they started measuring and, now we gotta come out further, we gotta rip up part of the parking lot, it's not as easy as it sounds. Let's put it that way. And, so,
Is it possible that we look at something different for them? I know, when you and I mentioned something about doing something over here,
yeah, I mean,
would that,
I don't know, I didn't bring that up, at the time, because I don't know, I have a recollection of there being doors on that, swinging doors on there, but maybe
It's before my time.
We're bored.
I was bored.
it's like John recollection,
Is that something that would answer the questions, right?
the needs.
The needs of the
Legionnaires.
If you're asking me, I mean, I think basically the idea was to have access without disturbing things that were going on here.
So if something were up here,
And an easy in and out.
would that be easy in and out, not disturb anything up here?
If there was some sort of break between there, yeah, that's not something that's been
Doors up or something?
talked about, but if there was something breaking, if there's a kid's birthday party and we're getting stuff to go to a funeral, sometimes we walk through here, I mean, and we do use the Bilko doors, but not all the guys can get up and down the Bilko doors, so it was something that would sort of separate the two. I'm not sure if fire code would allow some type of separation, but I don't know.
Is those two restrooms the only restrooms in the building?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, which that doesn't address anyway, even, at separate entrances. I mean, if we're gonna use restrooms,
Yeah.
we gotta come upstairs anyways.
But then if they were.
So,
Just food for thought.
Absolutely, yeah.
so with Lobella, they've already come out and the next step for them would be paying them $10,000 to.
Well, I would ask them to give us a proposal to do basically what we're saying for them to do.
Yeah, because it was just kind of my coming out, they looked at it, it's not required.
Yeah,
it wasn't
nothing that was official, it was just, he was out here for something else, we came down here with that kind of ballpark. That was a few years ago. I feel weird. I think we had a bunch.
Yeah, we did.
But then.
That looked the other day, the local doors, so I guess we didn't do that. Yeah, it was, the numbers we put the budget were based on, and not involving an engineer and all that, yes.
Is it worth taking that first step of having like more here?
Sure.
I just think, if we're gonna say it's really not feasible, cost or whatever, I think having information in our hands, whatever is probably the best way to do that.
So especially with budget process starting
Right.
in a few weeks. We've never.
And can we look at this option here?
Sure,
Because I think that might also be.
that would be a question with fire marshal and Legion, that,
It's up to, it's up to work.
cure the issue.
It does look.
It doesn't look like they were doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it couldn't be a wall.
No,
No.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it would have
No,
to
I
have
was
something.
thinking glass doors or something.
take a look at it.
And I just think it's different. Is it official, Tom said, have Mike, are we officially not with Mike anymore? Mike has gone up and we've done that. So just so you know, we gotta get that. Dan, Mike moved up to Fuchs.
Oh, nobody told me.
He's got moved up from. Well, that comes. So, I mean, very nice guy, we met him for lunch. Yeah. And, Mike has been at lunch.
He does cook.
Bunch of things.
No, they don't.
More territory, they expanded and bought a large engineering firm, which has created a ton more energy for development. So. I know. I want to say it's Jason or something like that, but I probably won't.
But there's still are.
Yeah, there's more.
Yeah, it's not like they can call Mike.
Right.
It's not gonna work for us.
It's, Dan Ball.
He's the guy who's the expert in maintenance.
Oh,
He's the.
yeah, okay.
New number 18, which is the Pro Shred. I just got this today.
John?
Oh,
Do you want to authorize advertisement for vacancies first?
yes, number 17 is the authorized supervisor. Sorry about, I got too many words in there, for any future town hall vacancies. What was that mean?
Yeah.
In simple terms, Michelle is going to be training, who's training over at the clerk's office, and that we're going to just help over building assessment. While she's training, and then that person hopefully would transition to at least part transition to that more building assessment office. I wanted to get that out there sooner than later, just because it's already is June, and before you know it, closer to here, and then that's a certain lot of training that needs to be taken place in both.
So what's our process?
Well, it would be to post the vacancy.
Okay.
Exactly what the position would be and the hours.
And advertise for it.
How's that different than how things exist now? I mean, it just says, authorized supervisor for any future town hall vacancy. I mean, that sounds like we're changing something. What would our process be now?
Oh, I see. It's not any and every future.
No,
It's not a blanket. It's very, yeah, no, you know, now that I read that, I'm like, yeah, it's not forever.
Yeah, it just, it seems pretty vague. No, if there's just an or two, so that we can.
if she's doing training.
Yeah, I understand.
Let's find something to that regard, not necessarily mention the name.
How about upcoming town hall vacancies in the building assessment department?
There you go.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, I mean, again, this just seems pretty blanket. It's for it, and then we can express it about a specific need, which I totally see, and I know that's like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but I don't read that.
You're right.
So do you want to change the wording?
Yes.
What changes?
Did you get it?
I did. You're gonna be authorized to advertise upcoming vacancies in the building and assessment department.
Is there a
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. New number 18 is Pro Shred. As I said, they I think they did a great job on Saturday, so this is for their invoice to $925, which is exactly what
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? But just get a page so we're here now.
Yeah.
Sit around for a moment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Back to public comment. Dave?
Two things. First, that John, not that one. Thanks for saying earlier about the speed limit things. It's not really the role. Too many times government just grabs anything it can, it doesn't stick to the fine gun, so that's good to hear. Second, forget the fire code that should be issued, just take some of those speed things.
It's like a little light up.
Where's the pipes downstairs?
And I, actually, John put in our packet tonight on cannabis. I have a feeling in the next 60 days, it could get hotter, and it's probably worth reading it. I just glanced through it, because we can write a local law that eliminates the allowance of a dispensary in the town. Doesn't even have to, doesn't mean we will, but we can. There's some folks around town that might be interested in that. I don't know, or I'm not worried about how anyone feels. I know how I feel, but I think it's worth reading. Because it's, to me, it's still very confusing. I've read some stuff, but I'm gonna read this because I think there's a lot of meat on that going on how this plays.
What's our obligation to have the community express their opinion?
All year. And it actually, if you eliminate it, you have a resolution.
It really has to say. I read something that said you can't have a referendum.
You want to stop this?
So maybe I
I'll tell you, the information's come through on this, through a straw, and it's,
Right.
one day it's this, next day it's that kind of thing, so, that just strikes me. What I saw is that it could be a public referendum to overturn the board decides.
the outlaw opt-out local law is subject to a permissive referendum.
Yeah.
Or a referendum petition.
Yeah, that means they have to petition, you don't automatically have a referendum. A permissive referendum means they get enough petitions passed around, enough signatures, then they can get a referendum.
When you say, who's they in that situation?
Whoever wants the referendum,
The public,
the public.
The public.
Yeah,
Would be-
mandatory referendum,
Oh,
some things are subject to mandatory.
Got
That means you have to put it to a vote.
Got it.
Permissive, there are tons of things that are subject to permissive, even simple budget transfers are. But that requires affirmative effort on behalf of the citizens who want to oppose it, to pass petitions, get enough signatures. and compel it.
Got it, perfect, thank you.
so what I would like to do is get some, opinions at least from some of our neighboring communities. No matter what we do, residents can grow it, they can, have a certain amount of it, and they can walk right down the sidewalks. So just, I'm not saying I'm for or against it, but I said, just remember that going forward. Because it's not gonna keep it out any more than it kept it out when I was in high school. 40 years ago.
So they do that, that's valid, that's what-
Answer to that was tear down the bandstand at Harry Allen Park. Serious, everybody's smoking pot behind the bandstand, let's do that.
Not on the agenda.
Let's see. Anything else? Is there a motion for adjournment?
So.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Should I just chuck this back in wherever you
We'll recycle it appropriately. Thank you.